So hello fellow coolers, welcome back to another episode of Talking Tiki-Taka. And in this episode we are going to talk about the 5 most important things that I feel are the main reasons right now for Barcelona not performing on the levels that we have seen them perform at the start of the season, and some of the things that are not going entirely our way. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the very first thing, let's get the elephant out of the room. Javis' inexperience. So I am pretty sure just a couple of matches that Barcelona do not perform in, and after that the whole uproar begins that was Javi experienced enough to take on the role of a club like Barcelona. So this is something that even before Javi was onboarded with this project and everything, Laporta said that Javi is the man for the job and he has a certain bit of faith and reliability and trust placed on Javi. Based on what? The playing style of Al Sadd while he was the manager, the experiences he had as a player, learning the history from the likes of Luis Enrique, Pep Guardiola, and all the other great managers that came in the last couple of decades, and just in general, embodying the DNA of Barcelona, understanding the Tiki-Taka form of football, understanding how Barcelona plays, the 4-3-3s, the 3-4-3s, all the formations that are native to Barcelona, understanding how football is played in Barcelona is what in general gave Laporta and all the other fans, the culers, the hope that Javi is the man and Javi is going to replicate somewhat what Guardiola did, what Luis Enrique did. So when the decision was taken, there was skepticism and there were a lot of talk going out there that is he tested enough in a major league, in big clubs, to take on the responsibility of Barcelona. And this is where we defended him, drawing comparison with Guardiola. Even Guardiola, when he took charge of Barcelona, he did not manage any major clubs. He only had experience of managing the La Masia team, or the Segunda Division team of Barcelona. So Javi came in with a lot of skepticism and the stakes were high. And I am a very vocal advocate of Javi. I am a big supporter of Javi, as you can see, and I have complete faith still in him, absolutely no doubt. But one thing that is abundantly clear, that big match experiences, that pressure cooker situation is something that obviously Javi has not faced as a manager, and these are gonna definitely shake him. Some of the decisions are probably not always going to be right. Even the greatest managers have done decisions that are inexplicable. Even in the Champions League final that Guardiola played as the Man City manager, some of the substitutions, some of the starting lineup positions did not make sense to even the pundits. So mistakes and errors are going to happen. What is going to decide his future is the frequency of mistakes that takes place, and I think it's going to come down. But right now, one of the major issues is the inexperience in big matches, in big leagues, in big competitions where Javi probably has not been tested yet. So the next most problematic thing that I feel Barcelona is going through right now is the lack of a clear go-to starting 11. So we are very early into the season, and not many matches have been played in any competitions. Even the Copa del Rey have not even started yet. So even in this small period of time, what we have seen is some, yes, forced due to injuries and all, but a lot of permutation combinations being tried out right now, and this is not something that you should do probably with a very young team. Yes, experimentation is going to take place, it's required to take place to understand what's the best 11, but I think a couple of matches, 2-3 matches, some of the warm-up matches should have been enough to get at least an understanding that this is my go-to 11, and regardless what kind of result I get, this is something that I'm going to try out for a sustained period of time, and if it doesn't really work out, then maybe I will try out something new in terms of formations, in terms of swapping players and all. But what I have seen in this very limited amount of time, that too much experimentation is going on. It's still unclear whether Rafinha should start in the right or left, where Dembele should play, if Ansu Fati should be given more minutes, how the backline is going to turn out. We do not have enough proper replacement for certain places, which I'm going to go into later part of this video. But for me, you have to have a proper go-to starting 11 if all the players are available and injury free. So this I feel is lacking up till this moment. I do not see a clear starting 11. If your team does not have a starting 11, then you cannot expect them to connect on the field. These players are not accustomed to playing with each other over a certain bit of time. And these are new experiences for all of them. Lewandowski just moved in, Rafinha just moved in, Dembele in a new position with a new role. The midfield is relatively new, I couldn't say, but it's not familiar. The faces and the formations are not familiar, and the backline is obviously is a work in progress. It has been for last 1 decade. So this is a new team, new formation, new players, and they need the time to gel with each other. They need the time to connect with each other. Without that, the flow of game, the type of football Barcelona plays is not going to work. In counter-attack, yes, you can have certain players in positions and make the break and just count on players to understand and just do what they're supposed to do. But in a formation and in the playing style like Barcelona's, what happens is all of the players needs to be connected at every moment of the 90 minutes. And without that connection, that telepathic understanding that we have grown so accustomed to seeing from Messi, Javi, Iniesta, Busquets, and some of the other players, it is something that we cannot expect to be replicated overnight. But definitely you need the players to spend the amount of time required to at least have that understanding, to understand when Pedri is going to pass, to understand when Lewandowski is going to make the run, to understand when Rafinha is going to shoot or Rafinha is going to play the ball as a cross. So these are the things that will grow amongst the players, but they need the time and the confidence. And Javi must have a very clear picture of which 11 players he wants to start. So the next issue is just 2 words: fullbacks. For years we have not found a replacement of Jordi Alba. Dest did not work out. Balde is a work in progress, and we do not have proper fullbacks in place. Marcos Alonso, Bellerin, these are quick fixes. I do not see them as a long-term replacement or a long-term planned out transfers. These are just temporary solutions that we required, yes, absolutely. And these are good transfers. I'm not saying they are bad players, but they are not for the future. So as far as fullback is concerned, and especially why I'm mentioning the fullback positions, because in Barcelona's style of play, and especially Javi emphasizing so much on the wings, stretching the field, which I talked about in the last video, it cannot be done without having attacking fullbacks and someone who can also go back and defend, which is probably the main complaint against Jordi Alba. Yes, he makes the forward runs and attacking runs pretty well, connects with the forwards and midfielders, but when it's about defending, he lacks incredibly lot. And over the years, we have suffered many heavy defeats because of that one singular flaw in the game of Jordi Alba. So in the fullbacks, we need some proper planning. Maybe Balde could be one long-term option. That credit goes to Javi that he is giving much more minutes to Balde this season. And apart from that, there are not many replacements or let's say long-term solution right now in Javi's hands. Probably in January and in the next transfer window, we'll have to look in that. But for now, being competitive in some of the other games and all the leagues, we must have a proper plan in place as far as the fullback positions are concerned. So the second most important and horrifying, to say the least, thing right now for me is we do not have a replacement for Lewandowski. If, God forbid, he suffers from an injury in any of the coming matches until Memphis or some of the other forwards are back, then we do not have a like-for-like replacement. And this is where selling Aubameyang in this transfer window was a huge risk from my end. And yes, I understand the economical side of things. We had to make space and clear some of the wage budget and all, and also get the transfer fee in for some of these transfers that we made in the summer. But if Lewandowski is out of the picture, then Barcelona right now doesn't have a goal scorer. And what we have seen in recent matches, that goals are not coming easy. In fact, quite the opposite. Our defense is shambles, but our attack is not as strong as it was in the starting phase of the season. So if Lewandowski either requires a rest or gets injured or it's some kind of calamity that takes place, then Barca is going to be in huge trouble, because I do not see a proper replacement for Lewandowski. Forget proper, there is not even any sort of replacement out there. There is not a number 9 in the squad, out and out number 9. Ferran Torres maybe can play, Ansu Fati maybe can play, Depay maybe can play, but let's be very clear and honest, they are not proper number 9s, and they are not proper replacement of someone like Lewandowski, who has scored so many goals for Barcelona this season already. So I do not know what kind of contingency Barcelona has in place for such situations, but this for me is the biggest worrying sign right now in the short term. If anything happens to Lewandowski, Barcelona is going to suffer incredibly lot, because there is not a like for like replacement, unless, let's say, we see Ansu Fati performing on the level that we have seen him perform in last 2-3 years prior to the injury. So apart from that, I do not see any way around if, God forbid, Lewandowski suffers any kind of setbacks or injuries. And the last and most important thing that I feel and I believe is playing the biggest part in the recent run of form for Barcelona is belief, faith, confidence. So if you have seen Ted Lasso, you would definitely know the power of belief, even though it's a fictional thing. But I think all of us football fans can relate with the fact that if a team believes that they can do well, then it doesn't really matter which opposition they are up against, what players do they have, and just in general, regardless of the adversities and all the challenges that comes along their way, they are ready to face it. And Barcelona, for me, right now lacks in that department the most. They are lacking in belief. Especially we have seen that in the Champions League. So what happened in the first half of Bayern Munich match is it completely broke Barcelona, because we started off so strongly. The commentators were saying that this Barcelona team this season are legitimate challengers of the cup, and from that position being knocked out right on the 4th match day, as a player, as a manager, as fans, you have to be extremely taken back, and this is a heavy blow. And for some of the players who have suffered for so long over the course of last few seasons, the whole bankruptcy thing, the entire situation with Bartomeu, failed transfers, and for the final nail in the coffin, Messi leaving. This all changes are happening so rapidly and so frequently that it's supposed to take a toll on the morale of the players, on the belief of the players. And there's just one interesting example I would like to give. Once I was playing FIFA, probably the 22 edition, and usually I play in world class difficulty. Sometimes legendary gets a bit too difficult, so I usually play it in world class difficulty. So one day I forgot to put it into world class, and I played legendary as I do in a world class difficulty. So after I won the match, playing in the rhythm and in a way that I have always played in world class difficulty, I won the match against legendary difficulty without pretty much breaking a sweat. So when I saw that it was a legendary difficulty, then I was a bit surprised. Now why I'm giving that reference is I'm not actually playing with the difficulty level, I'm playing with the notion of difficulty I am facing in my mind. And Barcelona right now are not daunted by Bayern Munich, are not daunted by Inter Milan, are not daunted by any managers or players out there. What they are daunted by or most scared of are themselves. They do not believe in themselves to come out of matches, to come out from tricky situations and win the game. As simple as that. There is no faith, there is no belief, there is no trust. If the team is performing, some good results are in our bag, then the team seems a bit different and you will see the reflection of it. But just when something goes wrong, that doubt, that skepticism starts to set in, and all the horror memories of last few years comes back like a wave. And this for me has been the biggest reason why Barcelona could not perform over a prolonged period of time. these things we need to get right, these things we need to rectify and get correct, and maybe if at least not all of them, if some of them gets solved, then I'm pretty optimistic that this team has a lot of promise. And as we have seen recently that we have two of the most brightest young talents in the world right now in Pedri and Gavi, not even talking about Ansu Fati. So this is a privilege, this is a blessing, we cannot take it for granted, and we have to build on it. The team needs to be built on these young talents, these young diamonds and gems that we are getting without, almost for free, from our own production line in La Masia. So this is a privilege and a huge advantage that we need to understand, and we need to learn how to use as an advantage. And going forward, let's see how the season plans out. Everything is not lost. Let's hope for the best and move forward. So guys, thank you once again for hearing me out, and I am absolutely in love with some of the reactions that I'm getting, and hopefully this also comes in the form of celebration for us culés, where we can celebrate more of the wins and talk about the positive sides of Barcelona's game. So till next time, this is Azim signing off. See you in the next video, and Visca el Barça.